Yesterday was nuts. What a way to get on the road to the 38th America's Cup. Plenty of breeze, a sea state full of speed bumps, and a fleet of 8 boats that were right on the limit at times, occasionally beyond. And to cap it off, the racing was superb. And guess what? Looks like we're going to do it all over again. For Luna Rossa, who are based here in Cagliari, it was business as usual. They know this area well and have spent a lot of time training here over the last few years. But for others, the learning curve is steep. Even though individual team members might have Olympic medals and stacks of America's Cup experience, working as a team in a twitchy boat where you're not just sharing the driving with the other helm, but getting to know how the autopilot wants to play as well, creates quite a challenge. And among those climbing the curve is the Swiss Tudor Alinghi team. I spoke to Paul Goodison a couple of times over the last few days to find out how someone with plenty of cup and foiling experience was finding it. Paul, great to see you and great to see you back in the Cup. Talk us through why this event is important for you.
I think for us it's super important because it's the first time we get to go racing as a team. We're a new group together. None of us have really raced together before as a team, so it's to race together as a fresh new four is really important to see how we manage each other when we're doing well and when we're maybe not doing so well. It was a really good test yesterday when we had a couple of breakages and things didn't quite go away, how the group reacted, but not just the sailing team, the shore team. We did a really nice job of, I guess, the communication side, the processes of working things out, and it feels like a really nice, healthy environment to be in.
Now your base is still in Barcelona, but you're operating out of a much smaller base. And I wonder, with such a short runway and with a big AC38 to deal with at some point, I mean, how many challenges does that present to you to actually find somewhere that you can operate from?
I think the biggest challenge is knowing when Naples is going to be ready. Like we want to get to Naples as soon as we can because we don't really have any infrastructure anywhere else, so we are really putting a lot of our eggs in the basket that we want to be in Naples, we want to be sailing the 75 there, but obviously we have to wait till it's ready. So we're very much in the holding pattern at the moment. Luckily the boat passed all the structural testing last week, so we're really excited that the repairs that were done after the accident, after the last Cup, have all been fixed. So we're in a bit of a holding pattern now to basically finding out when we're able to go to Naples, and if that's later than we anticipate, then we have to look at somewhere else.
Do you think that actually that and other factors like the fact that there won't be any racing at the venue at the same time as the Cup next year, do you think those kind of issues and this short runway actually presents more of an opportunity for teams like yourselves who are pulling themselves together at the last minute basically compared to normally? Do you think that presents more of an opportunity, or is it just an even bigger headache?
It's probably a bigger headache because as a sailor you'd love to be there sailing and figuring it all out, and you only get one hit at it. But there's probably opportunities in there somewhere, depends which lens you look at. But for us, we want to get the 75 back on the water. We need to start working together as a new team, design team, sailing team, shore team. So we need to fine-tune our operations, and the more time we get and opportunities we get to do that, the better we're going to be and the more prepared we're going to be.
Paul, spectacular day to open the event, but quite a difficult day for you guys by the looks of it.
It's a really tricky day. I think for a new crew that haven't spent much time together, I'm actually pretty pleased with what we achieved today. We had boat issues this morning. Before leaving, we kind of got informed we're missing 5 degrees of flat rain, so it's pretty daunting going out in those conditions when we know the forecast is going to be like that, knowing that we're a little bit compromised. So to have dealt with that, especially after a bit of a knockback yesterday when we weren't performing as well as we wanted to do. It's really good news for the team, like the attitude, the way we approach the day, and the fact that we got something out of it.
You seem to be having problems at the boundaries, and you got quite a lot of penalties, and sat on the naughty step for a while.
It's incredibly frustrating. At times the displays are freezing and it just says no GNS data. So you're basically sailing blind. Like, we're not trying to go, at times we're saying, okay, we try and tack 20 seconds before anything we see on the screen just because we're terrified of going out. And then you go out of bounds, you hear in your ear from the umpires that you've got a penalty. And the normal penalties are 75 metres, and then you see it flash up on your screen, you have 300 metres to lose. And in that sort of condition, trying to go downwind to burn 300 metres is pretty full on. And then not seeing how quick the penalty's coming out, it's a bit of a joke, to be honest, how bad the system is. But it is what it is, and we had to deal with that. But it's incredibly frustrating. We'll see if we can get a fix and keep chipping away.
Yeah, it does sound like it's very frustrating indeed. As the racing itself looked pretty intense, actually. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen fleet action with the AC40s, but have you been surprised at how close it is and how fast-paced it is?
Oh, it's incredible racing. I remember back to the last cycle where we did the events in Villanova and in Jeddah when the breeze is up. These boats are incredible. It's so much fun to sail, and I think this fact that they're so close is awesome. I wasn't expecting us to be quite as close on the pace as maybe some of the other guys. Unfortunately, we don't have any fresh sails this regatta, so we're dealing with ones from the last cup, and every day people put new ones up and go a bit faster. So to be in the game and to be racing around with them after the last couple of days is really promising.
Do you think it might, I mean, it's early days, obviously only the first day, but I just wonder whether you think you might, based on what you've seen and what you just said there, that you might actually go home thinking there's a lot more to learn from this than we expected?
I think there's heaps to learn from this, and as a team we have approached this. It's a learning process. How do we operate as a shore team? How do we operate as a sailing team? But also how do we approach the data side? So there's a big push to how we improve every day, how we go through those processes. We're working with a new performance group. The sailors are new together, how we operate. So it's a huge learning process to get better. So you don't have many opportunities to do this. So we've got to make the most of it.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating to watch. Let's hope for better things tomorrow.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, man. It's often said by those who don't really like the foiling cup world that what they miss is good old-fashioned match racing, lead changes and tactics that change fortunes leg by leg. Today was a day that proved that this type of racing is alive and well in the America's Cup, or at least it is in the AC40s. It also proved how we can take nothing for granted. We started the day expecting a repeat of yesterday, and what we got was quite different. For the opening race today, it was Luna Rossa at the front again, but this time with Peter Burling leading the charge up the first beat. The Kiwis were second and third at the top gate, with Hannah Mills in the mix in fourth. Meanwhile, Luna Rossa, women and youth, were well down the pan in sixth. And there was more stress for GB1, with Dylan Fletcher's team forced to sit out the first race once again with more technical problems after a hydraulic failure on the port side flap on the foil.
Yeah, we actually discovered an issue this morning in the checks, and the team worked flat out to replace the pump and replace some of the issued valves this morning. Unfortunately, after 20 minutes of sailing in the warm-up, we experienced the same issues. So the valves stopped working. Basically, we weren't able to control the yacht. So we need to try to get to the bottom of exactly why, but this is an issue we've had before that other teams also are experiencing. So it's very frustrating for us to happen here.
Having expected the same conditions today, the reality was that the sea breeze hadn't built as expected. This was making it much harder to find clear air and making today a very different prospect to yesterday. By the top gate for the second round, the Kiwis had squeezed into the lead, and by the bottom gate, a close match was shaping up between them and the Italians. At the top gate for the second time, the Kiwis were still leading, just, which is how it remained at the finish, but again, only just. So if you're a cup traditionalist and you want to see match racing, this race was one for you. The needle match between the Kiwis and Luna Rossa went all the way to the wire. Outridge versus Burling. Well, 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 who would have thought it? The drama in race 5 started with a very close call on the line as Tudor Alinghi came in on port at speed, head to head with Luna Rossa Women and Youth. Only quick action by the Italians avoided a major collision.
Yeah, from my point of view, I still haven't seen it. Even in the moment, I didn't see it. So yeah, I sit on port and drive, and yeah, it was one of those situations. I sort of was dipping the boats and took one stern, saw another one, and they were sort of on the breeze. So we could do quite a nice dip on them, and expecting to see the next boat going across my bow, and they never came, and then got told to drop the board and were attacking. So yeah, I guess it was pretty close given from what I've heard around the park, but I actually haven't seen any of it myself.
Meanwhile, up the first beat, the French had got their noses in front. Hot on their heels, Gridoni and Porro. But by the bottom, Luna Rossa had taken the lead after finding more breeze on their side of the course. And it was these patches of breeze that were starting to define this race. Then, in trying to avoid Burling, who was now adding to the pressure, the French stalled their foils. By the bottom gate, it was all change, with the Kiwis leading, Luna Rossa Blue in second and Athena Pathway in third. But even then, the shuffle wasn't over. In a bizarre twist, Burling was penalised for not avoiding Alinghi, who were on a different leg of the course. Result, Athena Pathway took the lead. And then there were other surprises in store too, as Tudor Alinghi finished off an already bad day with a capsize. But by now things had settled down at the front, as Athena Pathway extended their lead to take a win. But behind them, an incredible three-way scrap for the finish. By now the breeze had dropped and the teams had moved to bigger jibs. And after yet another tight start at the top gate of the first lap, it was Outridge's Kiwi team that led, with both Luna Rossa teams close behind. A pattern was starting to emerge, but the margins were still very close. By the bottom, the Kiwis had stretched their lead, but by now the tactics were very much about finding the hot spots on the course. Gridoni and Porro could see this clearly and were trying to force a split between them and the Kiwis, something they did brilliantly at the top of the course for the second lap. And by now it was clear that the right-hand side was where the breeze was, and the Kiwis were in it. But the Italians were not done yet, hauling themselves back to put the Kiwis under pressure once again. And on the last leg, they pulled it off when the Kiwis put in a bad jibe and lost their lead, leaving the Italians to take their third win in Cagliari.
We know what to do, so today we went out training, there was a lot of wind, then the wind changed a lot, we finished with the J1, we started with the J3, so it was not an easy day. But we have no pressure. I mean, we have pressure, but we know how to deal it, we like it, so same as yesterday.
When we interviewed Margherita yesterday, she talked about the communication on board, that's something you've really practiced. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we need to talk a lot, we need to paint the picture a lot to the other helmsmen, to the other trimmers that are on the other side, and that's essential. So we are trained for that, we always have to be focused to do it, and that's something that also makes the difference at the end.
When you look back a couple of years to the event in Jeddah, when you were pushing at the front of the fleet back then, how different does it feel now? How different a sailor are you now?
I think if I see myself 2 years ago, I had a little bit more heart rate, you know. I am much more relaxed now, I know better the boat, and as easy as that, you just have to stay relaxed and do the good calls during the course.
So by the end of the day, the home team, Luna Rossa Women and Youth, continue to lead on an 8-point margin over the Kiwi primary team. And with 2 more fleet races tomorrow before the match race final, it's interesting to note the symmetry of the overall scoreboard, with the Italians and Kiwis taking alternate positions. It's almost like it's trying to tell us something about the front runners for the Cup next year.